The moon of Varian 6 was almost silent after the Great War. Burned metal, broken towers, and dark smoke covered the land like a heavy blanket. Human rescue ships moved slowly in the sky, scanning for survivors. Among the rescue team was Ethan Cole, a young but brave human soldier known for never abandoning anyone. He walked through the ruins with a scanner in his hand. The scanner beeped softly, showing a weak life signal under a collapsed energy tower. Ethan rushed toward it. The place was dangerous. The ground shook every few seconds, because the tower still had unstable power inside. He knelt beside the rubble and used all his strength to move the broken metal. Under the heavy pieces he saw a faint glow-soft blue light, almost like a heartbeat. He pushed more rubble away and froze. There, lying half-conscious, was an alien girl with glowing silver eyes, royal markings on her face, and armor made of crystal-like metal. Her hair shimmered like light underwater. Even in this broken place, she looked like someone important. Someone powerful. Ethan whispered, Hey, are you alive?" The girl was barely breathing. Her chest rose slowly, as if each breath cost her pain. She looked young, not older than Ethan. Her hands were shaking. Around her wrist, a strange bracelet blinked with royal symbols. Ethan knew who she was before she even opened her eyes. This was Princess Araya of the Aurelian Empire, the most feared, most respected alien empire in this part of the galaxy. She was not supposed to be here. She was not supposed to be alone. And she was definitely not supposed to be dying on a battlefield. He quickly lifted her, placing her gently in his arms. But the moment his hand touched her skin, everything changed. Her bracelet exploded with golden light, sending a shockwave around them. Ethan stepped back in surprise, but he didn't drop her. The golden light wrapped around both of them like a ring. Suddenly, her eyes opened wide, not in fear, not in confusion, but in shock and disbelief. She looked at Ethan as if he had committed the biggest crime in her entire empire. With a weak, angry voice, she whispered, "Human, you touched me? Are you out of your mind?" Ethan blinked. "I was trying to save you." She tried to push him away, but she had no strength. Her body trembled. She looked at her glowing wristband again. The symbols were changing from silver to royal gold. Her eyes widened even more. No, impossible. This cannot happen. A human cannot trigger royal bond code. It is forbidden. Ethan had no idea what she was talking about, but the fear in her voice made his heart beat faster. Above them, enemy ships returned to the battlefield. Explosions shook the ground. Ethan knew that if he didn't move, they would both die. He tried to pick her up again, but Araya grabbed his wrist tightly. Her voice broke as she spoke. "Listen to me. That touch. The golden reaction. It means something in my culture. Something very serious. What does it mean?" Ethan asked. She swallowed hard, her voice shaking. "It means you might be my chosen life bond." Ethan stared. "You're what?" She covered her face for a moment, embarrassed and terrified. "At the same time, in my empire, a life bond is only triggered by contact with someone who matches royal compatibility. It only happens once in a lifetime. We call that person a future mate." Ethan felt his breath freeze. "You're saying me touching you did that?" She nodded miserably. "Yes, and if the bond completes, the whole empire will believe you are my future husband." Ethan nearly dropped her. "What? I don't even know you." Her cheeks turned pink with embarrassment, but she still panicked. As she watched the symbols turn brighter. "Exactly. That is why this is a disaster." Another explosion hit nearby. Dust and fire filled the air. Ethan didn't have time to understand alien culture. He just grabbed her again and ran, but the golden ring around them glowed even stronger with every step. Araya looked at him helplessly. "Please stop. If this bond lock forms completely, you will be marked as royal property. My people will hunt They will think you are trying to claim me." Ethan shouted, breathless. "I'm not trying to claim anyone. I'm trying to save your life." More enemy soldiers landed around them. Araya's eyes filled with fear, not of the enemies, but of the growing bond signal. She whispered, almost crying, "They will see the bond light. They will believe you want me as your wife." Ethan stumbled but kept running, and then the bond light locked. A bright golden ring snapped into place around their wrists, connecting them like two pieces of the same destiny. Araya gasped. Ethan froze. Enemy scanners picked up the bond instantly. Ships redirected toward them. Araya stared at Ethan with a mix of shock, anger, and embarrassment. "You're taking me as your wife? Really?" Ethan shouted. "I didn't choose this." She looked at him, tears gathering in her glowing eyes. But the bond did. As enemy fire rained down around them, Ethan dragged her toward the evacuation shuttle, and the galaxy watched the impossible beginning of a human and a princess. Linked by fate. Inside the human evacuation shuttle, alarms blared loudly. Ethan placed Princess Araya on a medical bed as the doors sealed behind them. The shuttle lifted off fast, escaping enemy fire. But even inside, the golden bond ring around their wrists glowed gently like a forbidden secret. Araya kept staring at it with disbelief, her face a mix of shame, confusion, and panic. She tried pulling her hand away from Ethan's, but the energy ring held them within a short distance. She hissed, "Do not come any closer, human." Ethan raised his hands in surrender. "I'm not touching you. It's the glowing ring thing, whatever it is." Araya glared at him like he had ruined her entire life. The medical scanner above her beeped twice. The human medic looked confused. "Sir, her vitals are stabilizing, but there's a strange energy link between you two. It's like a marriage code." Ethan wanted to vanish on the spot. Araya covered her face and groaned. "This is humiliating." The medic continued scanning. "Congratulations," he said awkwardly. Araya shot him a deadly look. "If you congratulate me again, I will melt your ship." The medic stepped back instantly. Ethan sat across from her, keeping his distance. He finally asked gently, "Why is this bond such a big deal for you?" Araya looked away at first, but after a long moment, she spoke softly. "In my empire, royals do not choose their mates. The council chooses them for us. The bond code must only activate when our political match is found." She touched the glowing symbols on her wrist. "But it activated because you touched me. A human, someone my empire sees as primitive." Ethan frowned. "Primitive, really?" Araya sighed. "Not in a bad way, just your species is new too. U.S. The empire does not understand humans yet." Ethan sat quietly, trying to process everything. "So this bond, it means you're stuck with me?" She looked at him sharply. Double quotes, "No. It means you are stuck with me. And my entire empire." Before Ethan could respond, the shuttle suddenly shook. The pilot shouted, "Incoming Aurelian ships. They're scanning us." Araya's eyes widened. No. If they scan the bond light, they'll think you're trying to claim royal rights." The cockpit alarm beeped again. "Scan detected. Royal bond signature." Confirmdira grabbed Ethan's arm in fear. Her voice cracked. "Ethan, they think you're my chosen husband now." Ethan whispered, "This day can't get any worse." But it did. The Aurelian flagship blocked their path. A giant hologram appeared in front of the shuttle. An older alien general with golden armor and furious eyes. He pointed directly at Ethan. "Human, you have triggered the sacred royal bond with our Princess Araya. As per imperial law, you must present yourself for judgment." Araya shouted, "General Lorik, stop. It was an accident." But the general ignored her. "Human, you will kneel before the empire." Ethan stared at Araya. "You didn't tell me kneeling was part of this." Araya closed her eyes. "Welcome to my world. The shuttle was forced to land on the massive alien flagship. Ethan tightened his fists. Araya lowered her head, guilt heavy on her shoulders. Their real problems were only beginning. The Aurelian flagship was massive like a floating golden palace. Its halls glowed with crystal light, and the soldiers wore armor that looked alive, pulsing with energy. Ethan had never seen such a place. Every alien who walked past him stared like he was some dangerous creature, or worse, an insult to the royal bloodline. Araya walked beside him, still weak, still embarrassed, and still tied to him by the glowing bond. Her head was low, her silver hair covering most of her face. Ethan could feel her shame, her confusion, and her silent fear. When they reached the royal chamber, the giant doors slid open. Inside stood the Aurelian High Council, tall, glowing, and expressionless. And in the center was the same general from the hologram, General Lorik. He bowed to Araya, then turned sharply toward Ethan. "Human, step forward." Ethan did, even though every instinct told him to run. A council member spoke in a cold voice. "Princess Araya, explain how the sacred bond code was triggered." Araya swallowed hard. "It happened when he saved me. I was injured. I could not move. He simply tried to help." The council murmured among themselves. General Lorik raised a hand. "The royal bond code has existed for 10,000 years. It cannot be activated by accident." He walked closer to Ethan, inspecting him like a strange animal. For a human to trigger it means one thing: compatibility. Ethan frowned. "Compatible? Like DNA compatible? Or personality compatible?" Araya whispered. "Both." Ethan blinked. "Well, that's creepy." General Lorik ignored him. He pointed to the bond ring. "This symbol binds the princess to her life partner. If the bond reaches full sync in 48 hours, their connection becomes permanent, unbreakable." Araya clenched her fists. It should not be possible. Humans and Aurelians do not share the same bond frequencies. General Lorik turned his sharp eyes toward her. "Unless the princess has been keeping secrets." Araya froze. The council members looked at her with caution. Something dark passed through her expression. Ethan noticed it. "She's hiding something?" Araya didn't respond. General Lorik spoke instead. "Princess Araya carries a rare genetic mark and ancient code, created to connect Aurelian royalty with outsiders." The chamber fell silent. Ethan blinked. "Wait, outsiders? Like humans?" Lorik nodded slowly. "Long ago, the first Aurelian queen created a hidden emergency bloodline. A bond that would activate only if the empire faced collapse." He pointed at Araya. "She is the carrier of that secret." Araya finally spoke, her voice soft and broken. "My mother told me the truth when I was young. That my destiny might lie beyond my people. That my heart might bond with someone not of this world." Ethan felt the air leave his lungs. "General," Lorik continued, "you human Ethan Cole matched that ancient code. That is why the bond activated. That is why her genetic signature responded. This was written before either of you were born." Araya looked at Ethan with a mix of fear and something deeper, something she didn't want to admit. The council then spoke together. "Princess Araya must choose. Accept the human as her destined bond, or reject him and face the consequences of breaking a royal prophecy." Ethan whispered, "Consequences?" Araya turned to him, eyes shining with sadness. "If I reject the bond, both our lives become a target." Ethan stared at her. Nothing about this rescue was an accident. Something ancient had chosen them. The council ended the meeting with heavy silence. Guards escorted Ethan and Araya down a long corridor toward a private chamber where they were supposed to rest. But Ethan could feel something was wrong, very wrong. Araya walked ahead of him, her steps slow, her face pale. Ethan could see she was thinking about the prophecy, about the bond, about the impossible destiny tied to a human she had only met hours ago. He finally spoke. "Araya, are you okay?" She didn't look back. "Do not speak to me right now. Everything is collapsing." Afon sighed. "Yeah, well, it feels pretty collapsed to me too." But before she could respond, the lights flickered. A low humming sound filled the corridor. And then silence. Araya froze. Her eyes sharpened instantly, all her fear replaced with instinct. "Ethan, get behind me." Ethan blinked. "Why? What's happening?" Araya didn't answer, because the answer stepped out of the shadows. 3 figures appeared at the pavi end of the corridor wearing black armor covered in shifting symbols. Their helmets had red, glowing eyes. They moved silently like ghosts. Ethan whispered, "Who are they?" Araya's voice dropped to a whisper. "Not Empire soldiers. Assassins from the Shadow faction." Ethan had a bad feeling. "And they're here for you?" She shook her head slowly. "No, they're here for us." Before Ethan could react, the assassins attacked. They moved faster than humans could see, energy blades slicing through the air. Araya shoved Ethan backward just in time, taking the first hit with her arm shield. The impact sent her sliding across the floor. Ethan ran toward her, but she shouted, "Stay back! You cannot fight them." He ignored her and grabbed a fallen Aurelian spear. He had never used one before, but he had no choice. One assassin rushed toward him. Ethan swung the spear wildly, more luck than skill, but somehow the spear connected, sending sparks flying. The assassin stumbled, surprised by the human strength. Araya stared. Ethan wasn't trained for this, yet he refused to run. The bond ring pulsed brightly. The assassins noticed. "The bond is active," one hissed. "Kill the human first." Araya's heart stopped. Something inside her snapped. Her fear melted into pure fire. She stood up slowly, her silver eyes glowing like twin stars. "You will not touch him." The assassins laughed. "Princess, you are weakened. You cannot use your full power." Araya raised her hand. The air vibrated. Her royal markings lit up in bright golden light, the same color as the bond ring. Energy crackled around her fingertips, forming sharp, swirling shapes. Ethan stared in shock. Araya, what are you doing?" Her voice was calm and deadly, fulfilling the prophecy. She launched forward faster than the assassins. Her energy blades clashed with theirs, filling the corridor with blinding light. Every move she made was graceful, powerful, unstoppable. Ethan tried to help, but the bond ring pulled him toward her with each surge of energy, linking their movements. He felt her emotions, her anger, her fear, her determination to protect him. The assassins realized too late. The bond made her stronger. Together, Araya and Ethan fought in perfect sync. Her energy shield covered him. His spear blocked strikes aimed at her back. One assassin fell. Then another. The last one tried to escape, but Araya threw a golden bolt that pinned him to the wall. She walked to the final assassin, her eyes burning. "Tell your master," she said coldly. "If he wants to break the bond, he will have to kill me first." The assassin vanished in a cloud of shadow energy. Retreating. Silence filled the corridor again. Ethan leaned against the wall, breathing heavily. "Are all your days like this?" Araya finally looked at him. Exhausted, shaken, but different. For the first time, she didn't see him as a mistake. She saw him as someone who stood with her when everyone else wanted her controlled. She whispered, "Ethan, you fought for me." Ethan smiled weakly. "Well, I couldn't let my future wife die, right?" Her face turned bright red. "You insolent human." But she didn't push him away. Not anymore. The bond between them was changing, and so was her heart. After the assassin attack, the ship's alarms blared across every deck. Royal guardians, elite Aurelian soldiers in golden armor, ran toward the corridor. When they reached Ethan and Araya, they formed a circle around them instantly. One guardian knelt and said, "Princess Araya, forgive us. We failed to protect you." Araya shook her head. "It was not your fault." But the guardians were not looking at her. Their eyes were locked on Ethan, a human holding a royal spear. A human standing inside the princess's protective aura. Their expressions changed from shame to anger. The captain of the Guardians stepped forward. "Human Ethan Cole, you stand accused of activating the sacred bond code of the royal line." Ethan sighed. Yes, I know. The glowing ring, the prophecy, the whole future husband thing, not my fault." Araya closed her eyes. "Why must humans be so blunt?" The captain continued. "As per tradition, you must kneel before the princess and declare your intention. Do you claim her as your mate?" Ethan nearly choked. "What? No. I didn't even claim a girlfriend back on Earth." Araya looked equally horrified. "Captain Relo, stop this. Ethan is not a claimant. The bond triggered by my genetic anomaly, nothing more." But the Guardians were stubborn. Relo's bowed his head. "Princess, with all respect, the bond does not activate without deep compatibility. The royal code has recognized this human. We cannot ignore it." The Guardians pointed their energy blades at Ethan as a warning. "Kneel, human." Ethan clenched his jaw. "I'm not kneeling for something I didn't do." The Guardians stepped closer. Araya suddenly moved between them, her arms stretched out protectively. "Enough!" The corridor fell silent. Ethan blinked. The Guardians froze. Araya stood in front of Ethan like a shield of living light. Her voice was sharp as crystal. "He saved my life, twice. He fought assassins meant to kill me. He defended me when half the galaxy wouldn't. He is under my protection." The Guardians exchanged worried looks. This was not normal. A princess, one of the most untouchable beings in the Empire, protecting a human? Relo spoke again this time carefully. "Princess, the Council wishes for a formal claim. Without it, the prophecy remains unstable." Araya turned slowly, facing Ethan. For the first time, Ethan saw something new in her eyes. Not fear, not anger. Something softer. The bond ring glowed gently between them. Araya whispered, so only he could hear. "I do not want a forced mate, but I will not let them control my life." She stepped forward, closer to him. Her face inches from his. Ethan swallowed hard. Araya, what exactly are you doing?" She touched the bond ring with trembling fingers, something no princess has ever done. Then she turned to the Guardians and declared loudly, "I choose Ethan Cole." The entire hall froze, as if time itself had stopped. Ethan went pale. "You what?" Araya kept her chin high, her royal pride shining. "If the prophecy demands a choice, then I will make my own." Relos bowed deeply. "The princess has spoken." But Araya wasn't finished. She pointed at Ethan. "He is not my forced mate. He is my chosen protector, my equal." Ethan stared at her. No one had ever said words like that to him. Not even humans. The Guardians stepped back and lowered their weapons. But somewhere deep inside the ship, hidden from all eyes, someone whispered in the shadows. "So the princess chooses the human, excellent. Now the real plan begins." A new enemy had just awakened. And neither Ethan nor Araya knew what was coming. For the first time since the bond had activated, Araya felt a strange peace inside her chest. She had spoken her truth. She had chosen her own path. She had stood up against the Council, the prophecy, and the forces trying to control her life. But peace never lasts long in the Aurelian Empire. As soon as the Guardians escorted them to the Royal Strategy Hall, a cold tension filled the air. Holomaps, star charts, and glowing symbols floated above a long golden table. Council members stood around it, their expressions impossible to read. Ethan and Araya entered together. The room went silent, Some council members stared at the bond ring. Others stared at Ethan as if he were a wild animal that had wandered into a palace. High Counselor Vera finally spoke. "Princess Araya, we received your declaration. You have chosen the human." Araya stood tall. "Yes, and I stand by my decision." But Vera's face tightened. "Your decision has placed the Empire in danger." Ethan stepped forward. "Hey, we didn't choose this." "I didn't." Silence. "Human," another counselor snapped. Araya's eyes flashed with anger. "Do not speak to him like that." But before either of them could continue, the lights dimmed. A deep vibration passed through the floor. All the holomaps flickered. Then, a new figure appeared at the far end of the hall, clad in dark armor with glowing red markings. The Shadow Faction leader, the same faction that sent the assassins. The council members turned pale. Araya's blood ran cold. The figure removed his helmet, and Ethan felt sick. It wasn't some outsider. It wasn't some rebellion leader. It was General Oorak. The same Lorak who lectured Ethan, who judged him, who acted loyal. Araya whispered, "No, this cannot be true." Lorak smiled, a cruel, victorious smile. "Hello, princess. I see you survived my assassins." Ethan stepped in front of her. "You tried to kill her?" Lorak laughed. "Of course. Her survival threatens everything I built." He turned to the council. "The prophecy that binds her to an outsider is a threat. It weakens the Empire. Her mother's genetic code was a mistake, so I decided to correct it." Vera trembled with fury. "You planned the princess's death? You dishonor the royal oath." Lorak raised his hand. Shadow soldiers appeared. Behind him, dozens. "The Empire needs a strong ruler, not a princess who bonds with a human." Ethan felt the insult burning, but Araya felt something worse. A memory of being a child, hearing Lorak swear to protect her mother, a memory of him promising loyalty, a memory of him standing beside her cradle as guardian. All eyes. Araya's voice cracked. "Why, Lorak? Why betray my family?" Lorak's eyes glowed red. "Because your bloodline chose peace instead of domination. Your mother's prophecy threatened our supremacy. The bond with a human is the final insult." He nodded to his soldiers. "Take the princess. Kill the human." Ethan reached for Araya. Shadow soldiers rushed forward, and right then, the bond ring exploded with blinding golden energy. The shockwave threw everyone back, council members, guards, and shadow soldiers alike. Only Ethan and Araya remained standing, protected by a shimmering golden sphere. Lorak shielded his eyes. "What is this?" Araya looked at Ethan in disbelief. "The bond? It protects us both." Ethan squeezed her hand. "Then let's use it." Araya took a deep breath, her eyes glowing brighter than ever. "Lorak, you betrayed the crown. You betrayed my mother. You betrayed me." Her voice rose like thunder. "This is the end of your rule." Lorak smiled darkly. "No, princess. This is only the beginning." The battle for the Empire had begun, and Ethan, a simple human soldier, now stood at the center of a war written by fate. Golden light surrounded Ethan and Araya like a living shield. Lorak's shadow soldiers slammed their weapons against the barrier, but the bond only grew brighter, stronger, wilder. It hummed like a heartbeat syncing with theirs. Araya stepped closer to Ethan, her voice low. "This bond, it reacts to our emotions. If we panic, it weakens. If we trust each other, it strengthens." Ethan nodded. "I trust you, completely." Araya's eyes widened for a second, as if no one had ever said that to her before. But there was no time to answer. Lorak roared, "Break the shield. Kill the human. Bring me the princess." Shadow soldiers charged again. The golden barrier cracked. Ethan grabbed Araya's hand. "We need to run." Araya shook her head, breath trembling. "No, if we run, he will take the Empire. He will destroy everyone loyal to my mother. We must end this. Here, Ethan stared at her. This wasn't a scared princess anymore. This was a queen in the making. Araya lifted her free hand. Golden sigils spun around her fingers, forming a glowing spear of pure energy. Ethan, stay behind me. No, he said firmly. Not this time. I'm fighting with you. She turned to look at him, truly look at him, and something softened in her expression. For the first time, she didn't see him as the outsider chosen by fate. She saw him as the one who stayed. The bond flashed brilliantly. Lorak gritted his teeth. Enough! He leaped forward, faster than any human eye could follow. His blade of shadow energy slashed toward Araya's chest. Ethan moved first. He grabbed the fallen Aurelian shield and blocked the strike with all his strength. The impact threw him backward, slamming him against the golden barrier. Araya screamed, Ethan! The bond ring reacted violently, glowing like a sun. Araya stepped forward as the markings on her neck, arms and chest lit up fully for the first time. She was no longer holding back. She unleashed a wave of golden power that shook the entire hall. Shadow soldiers vaporized. Walls cracked. Air turned to shimmering light. Lorak staggered, shocked. Impossible. No royal has mastered the bonds. Full power. Araya lifted her chin, eyes burning with divine fire. You should have remembered who my mother was. Ethan pushed himself up, bruised but alive. Araya, finish this. She stepped forward, the air trembling under her power. Lorak attacked again, but this time Araya moved like a goddess born of starlight. She dodged, spun, and struck him with a spear of golden force that pierced straight through his armor. Lorak fell to his knees. His voice was weak, hateful. The Empire will never accept a human as your chosen bond. Araya kneeled beside him, her voice steady. Then the Empire will change. She pushed the final surge of energy into him, and Lorak dissolved into shadow particles, vanishing forever. The hall. Fall's Silent counselors stared at Araya in awe. Guardians knelt, bowing their heads, the golden bond ring around. Araya and Ethan shimmered softly. High Counselor Vera spoke first. Princess Araya, you defeated a traitor and protected the royal prophecy. The Empire awaits your command. Araya looked around, the weight of the galaxy on her shoulders. Then she turned to Ethan. Her voice softened, trembling with honesty. The prophecy is fulfilled. The bond has chosen. But I want to hear your choice, not fate's. Ethan blinked. My choice? She nodded. If you reject the bond, we will separate it. You will return to your world, free. Ethan looked at the golden ring, then at her, tired, brave, beautiful in her strength. Araya, you're asking me if I want to stay by your side? She whispered, yes. Ethan stepped closer until the bond pulled them into the same breath. I didn't choose this destiny, he said softly, but I choose you. Araya's silver eyes filled with warm light. The bond ring flared one final time, turning from bright gold to a gentle eternal glow. The Empire had a new future, a princess, and a human. A bond written in prophecy and sealed by choice.